you got to get moving. Keep thinking about it. You keep talking about it. I'm going to start next Monday. I'm going to start New Year's. Nothing's changing. Like, how long do you want to keep going down this path you're currently on right now? You just need to realize that you can do so much better, that this isn't the best life can get. There's so much for you waiting on the opposite side of your bullshit and of your excuses.
What keeps you going? Where do you get your motivation? Whether you just want to be the best you can be or the best there ever was, we're here to keep you inspired. Conversations with today's top fitness influencers, coaches, athletes, and bodybuilding professionals. This is Inspired Fitness. Here's your host, Shawn Futterer.
I'm joined today by my co-host, IFBB Pro, Kimberley Helm, along with our very special guest. He's a fitness influencer, a wellness and lifestyle coach. He'll transform your mindset. He's the one and only JJ Velasquez.
Here I am. How's it going, guys?
You can find JJ on Instagram using @JJ the Fitness Coach. Kim, I'm excited about today's conversation because we're going to talk a lot about fitness and mindsets for men.
Well, those are very important, and mindset is, that's right in my wheelhouse. I love, because that's the most important thing. It goes with everything. It doesn't matter. So I'm ready.
Good.
Nailed it. Yep.
So JJ, you're a fitness coach and more. And you've been pretty public about your ups and downs with your own personal weight and your physical appearance, right? Is that what drove you into the fitness industry?
So actually back in my younger years, I used to be EMT, in the medical field. I wanted to do firefighting and all this stuff. And so it actually would be in the hospitals all the time and stuff. And I would see what would happen later on in life when people didn't take care of their fitness, the diabetes, people losing limbs, or, things like that. So it always got me curious and passionate about helping people. But of course, not being happy with, myself in the past, just knowing that I could look better, feel better. I was always searching diets, reading different articles, trying to figure out how can I handle my own fitness first. And that's what really developed a passion for it. I've been, lifting weights since high school and everything, but combining that with the want to helping people and then just making my own transformation and kind of what works for me, that's kind of where I'm at now. And sharing my journey, sharing my transformation, but also, helping other guys do the same. There's lots of, it's very rewarding being able to help people.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, Kim, you've said the same thing for yourself, and you guys have kind of a different approach to it, but I mean, that's really what you do as well. Yours may not be as much lifestyle coaching as it is for the professionals, but the idea is you're here to help others.
100%. And it's, what I've learned more and more over time is that there is nothing out there that is not connected to mindset. Really and truly, the people who come into, and Shawn and I have had so many cool discussions on this. That's why we're thrilled to have you on, JJ. It's, there's nobody who comes into the gym or into sports or, any education realm without wanting to embrace something that has to do with the mental aspect.
For me, it was divorce, it was depression, it was anxiety, right? All that kind of coming on as a result of divorce. And, I had choices. I could have turned to alcohol or drugs or anything else, but it was fitness for me. You've been doing this for a while now, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I used to do the in-person stuff, but then once COVID hit, that's kind of when I went fully online with things. And I actually enjoy it more because now I'm able to help with people all over the USA, all over the world, because that's what we can do nowadays with social media and being online as well.
Yeah, COVID kind of pushed a lot of us to the online format, right? A lot more people doing workouts at home. You bought the Peloton or the Mirror or whatever the case was. But the reason you and I got connected was because I was seeing all of your client testimonials all over social media, all over the websites. I mean, these were hundreds and hundreds of testimonials, all showing some sort of gratitude or appreciation. So, tell me a little bit about what it's been like, what your journey's been like helping others, particularly guys, get control of their life and their body.
I mean, man, there's nothing more like sometimes I get more excited, seeing these guys' transformations, just seeing their before and afters. But not only that, but like we just talked about, it's the mindset. You notice the mindset that's changed. In the beginning, they're just maybe lazy, unproductive, not very motivated, just can't stay consistent, just don't believe in themselves. They're just such in a point where they've stuck. Maybe they tried a bunch of other diets. But as they make that transformation, they start to become more consistent. They become more disciplined. They're saying no to foods, drinks, bad influences, all this stuff. like I always say, they become a different man in the process. It's not just reaching a number on the scale. It's about this man they become in the process. I hear them at the end of their journey or after the transformation. It's like, dude, my wife's proud of me. I'm playing with my kids. My kids are doing push-ups with me now. It's like they have so much more self-confidence, and it's not just the looks and everything is great, but they build so much here in the mindset, the confidence in themselves, and it's a full body and life transformation. Like the look and the skill is just one thing, but it's the person they become in the process, and that's so it's rewarding because you hear them at the end of it and just like, damn, like that's who you are now. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Same thing for you though, right, Kim? I mean, we're talking about, people who are competing in bodybuilding sports, but you see them go through that same transformation, build up their confidence. What's the similarity you're hearing here?
It's a very much to what JJ is saying, and I almost want to like high five you over electronically because I love this. And I really just want to add a side note. I love that you're speaking from a man's perspective, specifically about men, because oftentimes, especially in today's world, when it comes to topics of discussion around emotions or mentality and strength, oftentimes it goes towards females because we are typically more emotional beings. And so a lot of times it revolves around that. And because there's a lot of expectations of men already being at a certain place mentally, there's not always attention given to that. So I think this is a fascinating conversation. And it's, when I see somebody come into the gym, whether it's me doing, personal training with them, and it's somebody who comes in, and 9 times out of 10, the folks who are coming in and looking for a way to improve their physique, it's them wanting to remember who they are or get to a place where they like who they are in the mirror, or they've lost their identity somewhere along the way, especially moms or family members and dads, same with men as well, where, life has just kind of taken hold and they've given themselves in so many other ways that they just, they gave and gave and gave, and they weren't able to give to themselves as much. And now they're trying to reestablish that connection with who they are. And it's in this working with professional athletes in any sport, it's where my heart is, because when you go under competition, there's so much stress there, and it's so difficult with all of the feedback that you get that sways what your opinion should be. It's so hard to keep a strong mentality and still love who you are at the end of the day, especially with social media now, with everything being out in the open.
Yeah.
Well, here's what you have to realize too. I mean, life's going to change for all of us. Careers are going to change. Divorce is going to happen. We're going to get married. We're going to have kids, and that's throwing me for a loop too. We have to develop new routines and stuff like this, but at the same time, we have to look for new ways of motivation. I always hear this all the time. Oh, I had my kid and then I gained 20, 30 pounds and stuff. But instead of, if you realize that I need to make myself a priority as well, so I can show up at my best for my kids, so I could be that role model that my kid needs to show them what it's like to be a healthy and fit dad. You change your motivation. For me, I always say my kid is my motivation, not my excuse. And you see that all the time. So sometimes when life happens, we have to use these new stuff that happens as new ways to motivate us and stuff like that. And that's how we can keep, growing and getting to the next level with things.
Absolutely. It is an evolution, right? You're evolving yourself, your body, your mentality, just your approach to life in general. So I usually save the advice portion of our episodes for the end, but I want to ask you right here at the beginning, what is your advice for people who are just wanting to start their fitness journey, but maybe they feel a little awkward or out of place? They don't know what to do. Gym's unfamiliar territory.
Just know that everybody has felt that at once. Sometimes they distance themselves and think that, oh, I can't do that. It's going to be so hard. But every fit person that you look up to, every fit person that you respect, they were once at that point. And there's times with, even in my journey, like, okay, like I've been in shape, and then I've also, okay, maybe I fell out of shape for a little bit, and it's never too late to get started again. We just have to, just know that, hey, we have to just know where we want to get to and find new ways of doing things. Okay, yeah, maybe this fad diet didn't work. Let's get away from the fad diet. Let's start off small. I see guys going, I want to lose this weight. I want to go 6 days a week, 7 days a week. You went from 0. How about we start off with 3 days? I'm all about you stacking those wins. Let's aim for 3 days. Okay, now we did 3 days. Okay, now we could go to 4 days. Now we can start working with your nutrition. It's all about those small steps, because when people go too hard, they're setting themselves up for failure. Instead, if we can stack those wins, we start to believe in ourselves. We start to say, okay, this is doable. I can be consistent with this. You start having more belief in yourself, and that's what's going to get you the long-term results. So I'm always about everyone getting away from the fad diet. Everyone wants the quick fix, that microwave society. But what if you actually tried something that you can sustain long-term, that you're not in a rush to? Take the timeline out of it. You're going to get there regardless if you just stay consistent. So find something you can be consistent with. Maybe it's just walking 5 days a week. Maybe it's a couple of days a week of workouts. You stacked it over time. You're going to get there. You just got to start. You got to get off the couch. You got to stop making excuses and just start and just stay consistent.
And we all go through it no matter what level, right? It's not something that's just weak people, quote unquote, go through. This is something that every human being, to your point, whatever you're going through in life, we're going to revisit it over and over and over. It's not a one and done deal where once you do it, you're done. You don't have to try anymore. Then I think that's the hardest part, is that it's forever ongoing. And I think that's the burden.
Yeah.
But if you can really learn to love the process instead of,
Yes.
oh, I hate to work out. I have to work out. I have to eat healthy. Learn to love the process. I go to the gym now just because it makes me feel good. I get rid of all the mental stress, all the negativity. It gives me some me time to focus on myself. And I'm not there all the time to, look good or just burn calories. And sometimes it's just, damn, I just needed this. I feel so great after a workout. I was feeling down, or it got my, my vibration up. It got me to the next level as far as mentally. So if we could just learn to enjoy the process and show up without expecting a result all the time, well, now we can learn to just, hey, this is something I do. This is who I am. I prioritize my health and fitness. I take care of it. I show up regardless, even on days I don't feel like it. And so you got to learn to love the process and know that there is lots of other benefits to it than just, the number on the scale or how you look. Like, show up for the other reasons as well.
Yeah. There's a theme that kind of evolves when you talk to athletes, of any significant caliber, that 95% of your results are going to come from consistency, right? It's that kind of 3 to 5% at the end of it that you get from the little things, like perfectly fitted shoes or a particular supplement or whatever. 95% of your results going to come from showing up, doing it day after day, and eating the right way.
So one of the things I'm thinking through when I'm hearing y'all talk, and Shawn knows I'm a very visual person. I am one of those folks who, when I'm trying to go, when I'm trying to hit the next goal, when I'm trying to attack the next level, I need something that is written, that is literally written by hand. That's not just typed onto a computer. It's something where I need a calendar in my face every day, where I'm putting a smiley face every day I get it right. Maybe it's a frowny face every day I get it wrong, or maybe it's progress pictures, or maybe it's hey, I drank a gallon of water, today, and I mark it off on my list. But I am very much a visual person as far as looking at how frequently I'm succeeding at it, and where I'm falling short and what that looks like. I'm curious, JJ, when you're working with folks, what are your thoughts as far as tracking your progress or understanding, even though you may not see results right away, it's still a discipline thing for you to show back up every day, day after day. So how do you encourage people to do that when they're trying to track their progress?
Like you said, the first thing I start off with is the mindset. I want you to believe that you're going to get there regardless. Hey, you trusted me as your coach. I'm going to make the adjustments as we need. I just need you to execute. Show me what you're doing with the nutrition. Show me what you're doing with the workouts. Do your weigh-ins, take your progress photos, and I'll make the adjustments as we need. Because yeah, you may, I see people, oh, maybe the scale's not moving, but you notice your clothes are fitting a lot differently. That means you're losing fat. That's why it's just, so sometimes it's just coaching these people on, hey, let's not just rely on the number on the scale. That's only one form of measurement. Oh, maybe the scale's going to stay the same for a week or two because, yeah, maybe stress was higher, sleep was different. Maybe other things are going on, but let's not let that affect us. 1 week, 2 weeks doesn't matter. Well, like we talked about, what matters is the 3 months, the 6 months, what we can do most consistently. So I always want you to track these stuff and see to make sure we're making progress and stuff, but let's not let us get us down and make it seem like we're not making progress just by the number on the scale. Because it's like, if we just have this long-term mindset and, hey, we're going to get there, let's take the timeline out of it, we're going to get there, and let me make the adjustments, just do your part and just have that belief in yourself that, hey, I'm just going to stay consistent and it's just going to happen.
So the mindset's one piece of it, right? But when you take on a new client, you have to go through an evaluation process, kind of understand what their needs and desires are. What is your process for that?
I mean, so obviously finding out their goals. Some people just want to get, lose a little bit of weight, and like get a flatter stomach. Some guys want to get super ripped. Some guys can only work out 3 days. Some guys want to work out 5 days. So it's just initially finding out kind of where they're at with their fitness level right now, what has worked for you in the past, what has not worked, figuring out exactly where they're at. And then, also mentally too, like, getting them in the right mindset, but just, setting them up. I see lots of guys, maybe they don't have motivation or anything like that, but what usually solves that is having a clear structure to follow. Now these guys aren't guessing anymore. They know exactly what to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They know the workout's only going to take 30 minutes. They know they can schedule it in their time frame. So it's like when you go from a place of wondering, what should I do? To now we have clear structure on exactly what to do with the workouts, with the nutrition. You have some accountability, someone checking in with you and stuff. I find the guys are a lot more consistent now. Now you're showing up, every single day. Now you're getting these workouts done, and it's like, hey, you just needed something to follow. Instead of trying to guess it, doing the same workouts over and over, always follow a plan. I even build my own workouts in there, and hey, I still, do my workouts because I have it built in too. It's like, it's a lot easier to have when you have a structure instead of just, aiming, what should I do today? Sometimes it's easier to do nothing. And you see lots of people do that as well. So when you have structure, I find it helps out a lot.
Yeah. This is the thing that I find interesting. So Kim has been my coach, my trainer in the past, and she's trained my children as well. The one thing that she brought to the table that I didn't do well enough for myself was accountability, right? Mm-hmm. We had a plan, we had a structure, we had a workout, we had a meal plan. There were things that I had to do, and then I felt accountable to her to do those. And I felt like I was letting her down if I didn't. And now, more often than not, I let her down, but that's not the point.
Not true. Ignore that.
That to me is the really the most important aspect of having a coach or a trainer. It's somebody that you are accountable to, that's going to drive you. That's going to become part of your motivating factor, right? And I think that's one of the things that you bring to your client base.
Yeah, definitely. Because people, and then it's also nice to know that someone's checking in with you. Hey, John, I noticed you haven't done workouts this week. Like, everything okay? Oh man, I've been busy, but I'm gonna get it done today. And next thing you know, they're getting it done, because everybody in their life, maybe currently their friends or family, they're letting them off the hook. They've gained 30, 50 pounds, and it's okay. But me, I don't want you to go down that path, because I know what's going to happen. I want you to be where you want to be. So I'm going to check in with you and do my part, because you told me that you want to achieve this goal and why you want to achieve it. That it's that important to you. So I'm not going to let you go down that path again and make those excuses, and you have your family and stuff let you up there, because you're letting yourself down, you're letting your family down. So I'm going to do my job to check in with you so we can get the results. So I definitely agree that it's huge is having that accountability.
Yeah, it's very much a team atmosphere, even though it's it may be a person. When I was working with Shawn, when I was working with his kids and the other folks that I work with, it's a team approach. It really is hey, we have a mutual term, quote unquote, contract, right? Nothing technical, but we have a verbal agreement here where I'm going to show up and do these things, and you're going to show up and do these things. And so I'm curious. So JJ, when you're talking about the minimum requirements that you want to know, things for you to be able to be a good coach, for you to be able to be a good advisor, what are the things that you need when you're coming forward to somebody new that you don't know their backgrounds in? As in, do you need to know what medications they're on, what their medical history is, what their mentality is, or are you really just going straight for future goals and focusing on that?
So there's obviously, I asked the baseline questions, injuries, any kind of medical history, stuff like that, just so I could know what to workouts to build around. But also I'm going to ask some questions to make sure that I want to work with you, that you're a good fit for us, that you're going to actually get results. Number one, are you coachable? Can you take feedback? Are you willing to do some different things and step outside of your comfort zone? Number two, on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed and ready are you to make this change right now? If you tell me, it's not that, okay, hey, maybe now's not the right time. Because when you come into this program, I want you to give it your all. I want you to be ready to make these changes now. I want you to not make excuses. And so because I'm going to give my all to you, and I want you to be at the same part with me. So it's more than just there is a mental aspect of how serious are you about accomplishing this? You ready to make these changes right now? Nothing's going to get in your way. Can you commit to doing at least 3-4 workouts a week? Yeah, I can do that. Okay, great. Let's jump into it. So it's more just hey, I need your commitment that you're going to do what it takes, that you're willing to do this many workouts, that you're serious about this, and then I'll take care of the rest as far as, any injuries, limitations, gym workouts, home workouts, whatever. But as long as you're ready, like, hey, you're a good fit, let's do this.
Yeah, that is an important point, right? Their mindset about the willingness to come out of their comfort zone. That point, I think, is very important, because that is going to make or break whether or not you get a positive result or how quickly you get a positive result. Food is kind of the answer for things like boredom or depression, or it becomes an emotional substitute of some kind, right? As you work with people, how do you get them to think of food as fuel instead of these other things?
Well, you got to, and same thing. It's just about education. I think lots of people don't realize why they're so tired all the time, why they're sluggish, why they're low energy. Lots of times, yeah, maybe you're not working out is one thing, we get that in, but lots of the times, yeah, that fuel some of the guys are just skipping breakfast, not eating, not hydrating, things like that. So yeah, when you resort to these processed foods and stuff like that, of course you're going to feel that way. I see lots of people just right away, the first week, they're making these choices like, man, I already feel better, I have more energy. And it's just educating them on like, okay, this is how you can feel if you eat like this. This is how, but sometimes people don't even know like how to hit a protein, or what's a protein, or what is peanut butter a protein, so just giving them the education on, here's some good protein sources, here's some good food sources, maybe a sample meal plan to give them different ideas on how to eat, not peanut butter and jelly sandwiches all the time, like, hey, here's some different ways to eat. Oh, wow, I'm feeling better, I'm feeling that. So I'm always, the education is there, but of course at the same time, I also work with lots of busy guys who have to travel, who are on the go. So it's also educating them on how to still be successful even on the go. And then more importantly, making choices that are going to support their goals on the go. There's always healthy options out there. There's Chipotle and, all these other options where we can still get a good protein source, get good healthy meals. I mean, even McDonald's has salad, so it's like, we just need to start making these choices that are going to support the goals. And next thing you know, I see people like, man, I don't even crave those sweets no more. I don't even crave those sugars, that sodas and stuff, because your taste buds change. You start to develop different ways of eating and you feel better. So you get away from that stuff,
Yep. So Kim, I'll take you back a couple of years ago, right? When I first started working out with you, and we went on to a very specific meal plan. It was about 6 ounces of protein. There was some rice, there was a lot of broccoli and things like that. And you did a check-in after, I don't know, maybe a week or so of me being on this particular plan and asking how I was feeling. And I told you, I've never been so full and so hungry at the same time, right? So part of the process of this that I think people struggle with, I certainly did, is when you start to take control of your life from a nutrition perspective, you're going to go through this metamorphosis, and you may feel hungry. You may not feel full in the same way that you did before, because you're getting far fewer carbs or, other things of that nature, like you said, sugars and things like that. It's going to make you feel different. Ultimately, it's going to make you feel better. But in that moment, it might leave you feeling hungry. And so I'd really like to hear from both of you. What's your advice to people who are going to start down this path and may experience that, that lack of I'll call it fullness from, the change in their diet?
That's a sign that you're burning fat. That's exactly a sign that you're in a calorie deficit. That's a sign that you're getting closer to your goal. Right. You're burning fat, you're creating a deficit. But yeah, of course, I always want to set them up for success. And hey, how many meals are you eating right now? Maybe we could spread out these meals. Having lots of protein usually keeps people more full. Instead of always powders all the time, yeah, have a good portion of protein. Try to spread it out throughout the day, hydrate, stuff like that. And yeah, maybe even a little high protein snack, later on in the day. Do what you got to do to, do your best with feeling full, but know that that's a sign that, hey, we're creating this calorie deficit. It's going to get this there. And then it all goes back into that mindset of just, hey, this is part of the process and this means I'm burning fat. So part of the plan, we got to just stick with it.
Right. And it's, depending on what those person's goals are, it has a lot to do with what approach you're going to take initially and how aggressive you're going to go. Right. It's Shawn, when we started talking, you had very clear cut, very aggressive goals, and you were all in this. Shawn has so much determination and gumption, he's like, let's do this. Let's go to the max. I loved it. And we had a lot of fun with it, and he was very honest and he was very transparent about what he was doing well and what he wasn't. And that is so important to have from somebody that you're working with. Be very honest about whether or not you're able to accomplish it. And it's, if somebody is starting out and they're only getting, I've had females come to me before where, typically males eat more. The guys that I've worked with haven't really had the minimal food, some instances that the females have, where a female might say, I'm eating 2 meals a day, and they're lucky if they're getting in 800 calories, because they're so used to that. They're so used to their body with such low amounts of food that you can't just take them from that low and then start maxing them out at 2,000 calories a day. You have to build up slowly to that. So it really does, depending on what the goals are and where the person's mental perspective is.
So JJ, another point you made a little earlier was about crash diets and quick fix programs. We did an episode not long ago with a woman out of the UK, Monica Spazowicz, who said kind of the same thing. She's not a fan of these crash diets or these, quick fix Beachbody programs, get lean in 6 weeks, because they're not sustainable. What are your thoughts on some of these marketing, narratives that we see around these crash diets?
And that's exactly it. I try to get everyone away from that stuff, because I always said, what's the point of losing 20 pounds in a month or two if you're going to gain it right back? Like, if you can't maintain it, what's the point? If it's not sustainable long term, it's not a long term solution. I want you to be able to get to the weight you want to get to where you want to get to, and be able to maintain this long term. So I want to show you what to do with the nutrition, so you can actually enjoy foods, enjoy social life, stuff like that, still accomplish the goals. I want to show you how to make these workouts work around your busy schedule and stuff like this. Show you different ways of doing things that you can actually work with your lifestyle, so you can get the result and maintain it. Because the fad diet, it's never going to get us anywhere. It's why you want to keep going down this yo-yo and make it way harder on yourself. People cut out all their carbs, they starve themselves, they're replacing meals with shakes. Like, why would you want to do that? You're just making it way harder on yourself, and that's why you keep failing. That's why you're not successful, because you're doing everything except a sustainable diet. So I want to change people's mindset on, let's get away from all the fad stuff and let's do something that we can be more sustainable with long term, and because that's how we're going to get long term results.
So JJ, because your expertise is with males, so we're talking a lot, so far in this conversation, we're talking about things that are applicable to both male and females, and they can cross over very much. So what are you seeing in this space specifically? Because I work with both men and female, but majority of my clients are females. So when you're talking about going through this process with men, what are you seeing that's a distinguishing factor from a male perspective that you cater to, or do you see a big difference there as far as how you approach it?
A factor as far as what do you mean?
As far as when you specifically work a lot with males, so do you approach the process the same with men as somebody would with females? As far as, do you cater, or what do you see more with men that differentiates your experience with them than women? Do you see that they have more challenges with their workouts? Do they have the same food challenges that women do? What do you see?
Well, I feel like, number one, I could talk to a man different, because I'm gonna call him out more. I can relate to him on that aspect. But as far as a fitness point, fat loss is fat loss. We all need to create a calorie deficit. We still need to be working out. Of course, maybe women have different goals. They want to work the glutes more or something like that. They don't want to work the chest as much. Maybe guys have different goals as far as that. But fat loss is fat loss. So it's just about, and I've had girls that I've worked with too that, we can do similar style workouts, maybe supersets, circuits, things like that. It's just about altering, maybe some of the equipment or making it to their fitness level. But I think that, the fat loss is fat loss, and everything still goes into play. We got to build your mindset. We got to build that belief in yourself. My perception is that, maybe with these women and stuff, they have fell for a lot of these fad diets, because I feel like they market a lot more of that to women for some reason. But at the end of the day, I feel like fat loss is fat loss, and we still got to create that calorie deficit. We still got to work out. We still got to eat right. So I feel like lots of that stuff stays the same.
JJ and I had a chance to catch up before this a little bit. And, one of the things we talked about there was, calling people on their BS. And, you can kind of challenge a man's ego in a different way than you can challenge some women. Now, I wouldn't say that's true about Kim, because if you challenge her ego, she's going to look at you and be like, I'll do it, and I'll do it better than you. But for a lot of it, that kind of holds true. There's a different degree of sensitivity when you do that, and you can use that to your advantage, or at least I think you use that to your advantage to push certain clients to a limit that they didn't know that they could achieve.
Yeah, It's all out of love, of course, too. But that's what works for me. I needed someone to call me on my bullshit and someone to kind of get in my face and just, hey, I've just posted this not too long ago, but I've made videos to myself like, hey, I'm tired of being in the situation. I'm tired of, struggling, or I'm tired of this. Like, I'm going to make stuff happen. And sometimes we need that outside source because, like I just mentioned, our friends, our family, our coworkers, they're not pushing you. No one else in your life is pushing you. They're letting you stay comfortable. Your wife's going to love you either way, whatever. I've heard that lots of times too. But we need someone to realize that you're not at your best right now. And I, because I've been there myself, I see lots of guys, I've transformed lots of lives. So I want the same for you. So when you show up to me and you're making these excuses that you don't have time with your family, or that you don't have time to work out and blah, 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 it's all BS to me. I know that you're just making these excuses because they make you feel better about yourself. But the reality is you're not showing up at your best for your kids, for your family, and you can do so much better. And I want to be able to call you on that, because when you realize that, and when you realize that, like, damn, like, yeah, I don't have that confidence to take my shirt off at the beach. Like, I'm embarrassed to take my shirt off. Like, that should be something that you need to change. As a man, we need to be that protector, the provider, that leader, that role model for our family, and set our best example. Because when we feel our best, when we look our best, we're going to show up at our best for them. We're going to be able, in a good mood. We're going to be happy. We're going to be so much better. So I want you to realize that there's so much for you waiting on the opposite side of your bullshit and of your excuses. And that's what's possible for you. And that's where I want to get you. Because I know you want to be able to walk your kid down the aisle. I know you want to be able to play with your grandkids and, have good health and all these things in the future. But if you keep going on the path you're on right now, you already told me you have diabetes. You might have a heart attack if you don't do nothing about it. You've been overweight your whole life. You're not at your best. You look in the mirror every single day. You're not happy with yourself. That's not the way of living. There's so much more potential for you on the other side. And I've seen it with many other men. And I want the same for you. So let's do this together. Let's get you there. Let's quit your excuses and let's get you where you want, because you're going to be so much happier on the other side of all that stuff.
I know a lot of people who need that kind of extra push to get started. When we talked previously, I said something to the effect of, for some people, their hardest lift is lifting their ass off the couch.
Exactly.
What do you say to those people?
You got to get moving. It's like it's the same thing. It's like you keep thinking about it. You keep talking about it. I'm going to start next Monday. I'm going to start New Year's. Nothing's changing. You're getting older. Your metabolism is not getting any better. Your health is getting worse. Like, how long do you want to keep going down this path you're currently on right now? Like, how long do you want to keep just not being able to look in the mirror and, look down and see your shit? Like, how long, like there's so much pain point that I've heard from these guys. And it's like, how long do you want to keep letting this go? Like, you just need to realize that you can do so much better, that this isn't the best life can get. You think that waking up tired, sluggish, low energy, in pain, not being able to keep up with your kids, you think that's okay? You think that's the best that you can do? No, there's so much more on the other side of you feeling your best, of you looking your best, getting off of all the medications, getting off of the insulin, all that stuff. And that's what's possible for you. And you got to get out of the mindset of it's going to be so hard or it's going to take so long. The time is going to pass anyways. We need, the time's going to pass. So if we just start small, get your ass up, do a couple walks, start cutting it down on the food portion sizes. I've had lots of guys lose weight just by walking and just monitoring the portion size. So it doesn't got to be, you doing 100 burpees and stuff all the time. It's just like, you just need to get started, because if nothing changes, nothing's ever going to change. And if you want to keep going down the path you're on right now, if you're happy with the way you feel, okay, but I can tell you that you're going to feel so much better when you look better. And sometimes people don't see the consequences. I've had many men get left for a guy that no one wants to date, and no one wants to be married to a lazy, overweight, sloppy guy who's unproductive, unmotivated. That's the best you can do. I've had many men get divorced. The wife left them. They wanted a guy that was going to be motivated, that protector, that provider and stuff. So sometimes, like, I get these guys that message me after it happened. Oh, now you want to make the change. Why didn't you do this stuff when you were married? Why didn't you do this? You needed that. Your kids needed that. Like, you need to show up, and you need to realize that if nothing changes, what's the worst that can happen? You having that heart attack, you not being around for your grandkids, you getting divorced. Like, that's what can really happen if nothing changes. So don't just think because you're in your comfort zone right now that everything's going to be okay. There's so much better for you out there. When you show up at your best, everything else in your life's going to improve.
So Kim, as a woman who has dated men, what are your thoughts on that?
There is definitely an expectation, and every female obviously has their own specifics for what they're looking for in a partner. But there are definitely expectations of, especially if you're a motivated person. So I can't speak for everybody. I'll talk for myself, right? So it's one of these where it's a scenario where if I am motivated in life, if I'm pushing for goals, if I'm really wanting to be determined and accomplish things, I want to be able to share that with a partner. I want my partner to not feel intimidated by those things. I want my partner to be a team with me, not necessarily having to do everything that I do, but where we're a team and we support each other. So it has to be a mutual relationship where you have respect for each other. That's the biggest piece of it that I think can sway back and forth depending on where you are with life. And you have to have a close enough relationship where you can communicate with that partner to say when that thing is going away so that it doesn't get too far down out of your control. But it is definitely an expectation of, sure, if I'm working very hard to stay in shape, and I think it's very important to be healthy. So looking good is great, right? We all want to feel comfortable when we look in the mirror, when we go put a swimsuit on, we want to feel good about ourselves. The health aspect of it, seeing, my elderly parents when they age and what they have to go through, how quickly you lose muscle as you age and how quickly you can no longer get out of a chair. And the health aspect of it is huge to me, especially with aging. So it's whether my extreme may not be somebody else's extreme, but the interest in health and fitness is something that is a requirement for many people to understand how to progress with life, I think.
And they always say that one of the biggest things in keeping a relationship alive is having that intimacy, that connection. And how many times have these men gained a bunch of weight? Now they can't even have the energy. They can't, get it up. They don't feel comfortable, keeping their shirt, with their shirt on. They don't have that confidence anymore that they used to have. And so the relationship suffers because there's not more intimacy. They don't have that connection no more. So it's like, you see these pictures and these married couples and, 5-10 years later, they're way overweight now and stuff. And I just know that so much stuff can happen sexually and stuff like that. When you gain weight, testosterone can drop and, so it can start affecting your relationship in more ways than one. And you see lots of guys getting in really good shape and, their energy is good. They have that, that vigor or whatever. And it's just like, that's going to help your relationship, so just another reason of why, taking care of this health and stuff is going to benefit you in more ways than one.
Absolutely. And you do want to be able to go to your partner with, excitement and with trust and, with the male-female partnership where the male is wanting to feel confident and feel like the protector, to your point, JJ, you have to let them have something to make them feel that way. They have to be able to embrace something to make them feel confident in who they are. And no amount of compliments that a female is going to give is going to get them there. They have to get themselves there, right? Like, doesn't matter. Having support from your partner is fabulous, but you're not going to change someone for them. They have to execute it on their own. They have to get to that place mentally. So I have a lot of respect for the fact that you're able to work with people and help them come to that fruition that this is a you game. This is not a, you're going to rely on your friends and your family to make the change for you. This is a all you game, right?
Well, what is it? So you've got a lot of experience. You've helped literally hundreds of people kind of reach their goals. What does it feel like for you as a coach, as a trainer, when somebody hits the goal that they set out for themselves?
I love it. But then I say, what's next? Let's keep it pushing. Let's keep it moving. I have that. And what I like to help a lot of my guys with, I want you to look at the way I live, the way I do things. I want to be able to transfer my mindset, my belief in myself to keep pushing you as a coach. And that's the mindset I have. I'm never satisfied. I'm always trying to get even in better shape, make more money, improve everything in my life, always keep scaling and growing. So it's like, I'm very excited for you, but I don't want you to get comfortable. I don't want you to lose that weight and be like, okay, this is it, because you can fall back. You can get comfortable. You can get complacent. So obviously, hey man, great job. You lost the weight. I felt, hey, hell yeah, you're great. But let's keep it pushing. What's next? Let's get even leaner. Let's build more muscle, because this is a lifestyle. We do want to make this a part of our life where, hey, this is just something. This is who I am. I show up and I value myself, so I take care of myself. And so I always encourage these people, and hey, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of you, but hey, what's next? Let's keep it pushing.
This is a huge word that you just said, JJ, when you said, I value myself. So to me, this word value is one of the most crucial words out there as far as showing respect for yourself. So when you have somebody who takes care of their body, you treat them differently because you know that they are putting work into it, right? It's one of those things where you are immediately demanding a certain amount of respect and confidence, and you have value in yourself, which then shows other people how to treat you.
Yeah, I always respect a man that's in shape because I know what it takes to build that body. I know the consistency, the discipline, what you had to do to accomplish it. And if you can't even respect yourself, how is anybody else supposed to respect you either?
Yeah, and it's not about having the perfect body. It's really more about, I mean, you might be in your journey. I mean, you could be somebody who was 400 pounds and just lost 75 pounds, and you're killing it. You're doing great, right? Like, you're high five to those people. I think it's amazing to be on their journey as long as you're pushing to get to the next goal.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. I don't care where you're starting, when you start,
Right.
as long as you're starting and not talking about it, as long as you're putting in the work, that's all I want to see.
Yeah. You said something else earlier that stuck with me about complacency. And complacency for me is a trap. I think it is for many people. In my personal opinion, complacency is probably the number one reason why people lose sight of their fitness lifestyle, right? I see it mostly in younger men, younger adults, when they've first gotten married or had their first child, or some life change has occurred that shifts their focus or requires a change in routine, right? That's when the wheels kind of fall off. You see the same thing in your business?
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, when these life changes happen, and I personally went through the experience with having my own kid. I used to have a morning routine, wake up at the same time, do some reading, self-development. Damn, now I'm not sleeping throughout the night. I got different stuff. I can't work out at the same time. But I have to find new ways of doing things because the result is that important to me and my family. I know that I'm going to have to show up regardless of how tired I am, despite how I feel. I have to show up so I can be at my best for my family. So it's like, even all this stuff that can happen, you have to know that you're going to have to figure something out, that you got to make different changes. You got to learn different things. You got to try different things. You got to hire coaches, mentors. You got to start surrounding yourself with different people. You got to do different things so you can still get the result, because life's always going to change. You see that happen a lot. But yeah, exactly like you said, we can't stay complacent, because that's when we get complacent in a marriage, what happens? It can fall off. When we get complacent with our career, now we're struggling. When we get complacent with our fitness, well, hey, we go back to our old habits or whatever it is, and now we're just, now we feel down on ourselves again. We should always be pushing to the next level. And still to this day, why I still invest in different coaching and mentors and stuff like that, because I always want people pulling me up to new levels, to challenge me, to helping me grow. And that, when you have those people in your life, you're not going to get complacent. I call out, you're going to have those people where they're going to call you out on stuff. They're going to help you because they care about you. So when we have those people in our lives, like, we need those people in our lives to show us a different way, to push us, to get us to step outside of that comfort zone, so we never stay complacent. I'm huge on that too.
Yeah.
Well, and Shawn, I'm thinking about you with your kids, right? Because you talk about how you have motivations, and you have talked about this before, where with your kids, you felt like you needed to show them what it was like to get up and go to the gym, to get up and eat right, to get up and feed your body, and your kids know this. They are active in the gym. They are active with their nutrition. They're invested in it. Maybe sometimes more so than when you and I were working together, right? I mean, Shawn was very open and honest, and like his challenge, he's never had a problem getting in the gym, but his challenge was a lot around finding a good balance with nutrition. And and like his son, for example, that I worked with, had a great perspective on making sure that nutrition was a priority, and that they weren't excuses that he got to the gym. And this, for Shawn, for you, this was a huge deal for you, as far as making sure that you were setting an example and that you showed up.
Yeah, I think that's important, as not just a father and a parent, but just, as a person in general, right? Be the example that you want others to follow. And that gets back to I think JJ's point about having the right mindset. For me, I had to go through a complete mindset reset, right, to pull myself out of kind of this spiral that I was in. And fitness helped me do that, right? Building a new routine, getting to the gym, doing all the things that I felt were necessary to take care of myself. And then that evolved into, my kids are watching. Yeah. So it was important. It was important to me to lead by example. And one of the things where I could do that was, go to the gym, eat better, eat right. I still don't eat as well as I should. And I'll give you an example. Today's actually a great example. I did not get to eat what I normally would eat today. I got up at 5 and went to the gym. I came home. I probably spent 2 hours in the gym. I came home and I had a protein shake and a banana. Now, normally I would have eggs and oatmeal and some other stuff with that. But I had time crunch today and I didn't get to it. My second meal was ground beef and rice. And that was probably 2.5 hours after the shake and the banana. My third meal was 2 cans of raw tuna. Just straight, no carbs, nothing else, no fats, just tuna. And then for a snack, I had some nuts, I think they were cashews today, right? But
well, who cares? Hey, you still ate healthy. I didn't see no donuts in there. I didn't hear none of this. Right. So it's like, we don't have to be 100% perfect. We just have to be consistent. There's days when like, damn, let me have a protein bar. It's the best I can do with what I got, the time, because same thing, life's going to happen. Sometimes I have to order DoorDash and eat chicken bowl while I'm doing something else. That's going to happen. Like, we can't be like down on ourselves or just, hey, it's going to happen. But if we stay consistent, hey, tomorrow we're back on track, and you still didn't make any bad choices that I heard. So, hey, you're still on track.
No, but what makes it great in my household is Megan, my wife, she's taken note that, that this has kind of been my thing today. Like, I've been, pulled in other directions. So she says, well, why don't I make some fish and veggies for dinner tonight? Like, perfect. That's great. I love that. So she supports.
She's great with him.
Well, it's great to have the whole family support, because sometimes you see that as an obstacle, like, oh, my kids don't eat the same thing, my wife doesn't eat the same thing. So I'm always a big fan of get the whole family involved. Why not get fit together? Let's eat healthy together. It's going to help everyone out. Find choices that are healthy that you can all eat. Maybe you're going to have less carbs or something because you got different goals. But if we start teaching our family, or hey, this is what we eat now because we take care of our fitness. Yes, show the kids that at a young age. Like, what are you teaching them? Like, hey, that health and fitness is a priority. And you said lots of things about helping your kid and, teaching him all this stuff. What is he building at a young age? He's learning how to be consistent. He's learning how to show up and do all these things, how to eat healthy, how to stay consistent, all this stuff. He's building so much life lessons that can, take him a lot further in life. And same thing, why I believe that, like you said, with these fitness and the habits, the disciplines, everything we built through fitness, imagine if we took that into our relationships. Imagine if we took that into our career, consistent commitment, showing up days, like doing what you got to do. You're going to be able to elevate all those other areas as well.
Yeah, and that's perfect. There's 4 keywords I like to turn to, right? That's commitment, consistency, discipline, and follow through. Right. If you're doing those 4 things, they can all kind of mean the same thing in this context. But if you're doing those 4 things, right, you're going to get a positive result. We talked a little bit earlier about accountability, right? And the way I see it as a client, what I want from a coach or a trainer the most is the accountability piece, right? You're going to see things, or I'm going to tell you things that I'm doing, and your job is to make adjustments, right? That's effectively what you're doing. The adjustments in the workout, it's in the diet, it's whatever. It's in the mindset. But that's what I want the accountability. I think that's the biggest thing that you could ever bring to the table as a coach or a trainer. Would you guys agree?
I tell all my clients, even on my initial calls, I can give you all the workouts and everything with the nutrition, but I need to make sure you're executing on it, that you're staying consistent, that you're not falling off track, because that's how we're going to get there, get the goals. So I tell my clients the same thing. Like, that's why we help you with the workouts, nutrition, and the accountability, because if you're executing on this consistently, we're going to accomplish the goal.
Yeah. And in many ways, for me, the perfect scenario is, when a client learns how to have good form in the gym, how to have confidence to go in the gym or work out at home, whatever the case may be, how to execute workouts on their own to the point where, hey, I'm okay if you don't always have me. If you figure this, like, if you get to where you are confident doing this, that is the biggest compliment to me that I can get, is that, now you know how to eat, how to train, what you're doing. And maybe we have a check-in that's a little bit less frequent, for accountability purposes, or maybe your person that you have, your significant other, jumped in and took that role. That is phenomenal. And that's the best case scenario.
Yeah. Definitely. I would agree with that too. Like, I want to show you different ways of doing things, but that's why I talk about sustainability. I want to give you a solution that makes it work around your lifestyle and all that stuff, so you can get the result and maintain it long after me.
Well, one of the inevitable truths about fitness is plateaus, right? We are all going to go through some type of plateau in our training, and with that comes disappointment and frustration and a variety of other emotions. JJ, how do you coach your clients through those plateaus?
I think it's the same thing. It's just about education, that knowing that that's normal, knowing that it's going to happen to all of us. It happens to me. It happened to this guy who lost 50 pounds as well. It happens to all of us, but that's a sign that maybe we need to make an adjustment. And that's part of the process. Because yeah, what we do to lose the first, 10, 20 pounds might not be what we need to do to lose that last 10 to 20 pounds or take off that last layer of fat. So that's why there's always going to be adjustment, and that's part of the process. But just educating them, and hey, okay, that's perfectly fine. Let's get another weigh in next week. Let's see if the scale, drops next week. Or just making some adjustments. We can add in this. Just educating them on, hey, it's going to be normal. Let me make the adjustments, and then, hey, we're going to get there. So it just kind of like goes back into that, just educating them that it's okay, it's normal. You're not doing anything wrong. We just maybe need to make some adjustments.
So Kim, adjustments aren't an exact science, right? It's a bit of trial and error. And even though you've recommended an adjustment, the result of that adjustment is going to depend on the client's ability to execute, or there may be a physiological challenge or something else, right? So how do you set an expectation with a client that we may have to do some trial and error, and there may be some different things that we have to try, and that these things take time?
And I think the most important thing is how to communicate. And and you have to customize that to your audience. You have to customize that to the type of person that you're dealing with, so that you communicate up front. One of the first things I lead with is always that, hey, you know what, you may see an amazing progress right out of the gate. Like if you're really changing, if you're taking your 3 Mountain Dews out of your diet a day, and you're getting to where, you eat semi-healthy meals to where before you were eating fast food all the time, you are going to see a change for the positive. And it will happen right away, right at the beginning. And then your body is going to learn to adjust to that. And then you have to adjust again, because your body is super, super smart. And it's going to adjust every time you start to hit a home run. It's going to go, oh, I got it. I know what we're doing. And then it's going to hit this plateau that you're talking about. And then you have to realign what your vision is and what's working. And there are also other things that come into play, so it's communication. And are there other things going on in your life? I don't think that there's anything that's off limits as far as conversation is concerned when it comes to what somebody is going through as a client. And JJ, you may have specific thoughts on this too, where, the stress levels that somebody has, if they're going through some serious turmoil in their personal life, or they're dealing with something with their job that has just, recently come on much stronger, it's going to affect a lot of things in their life.
Yeah. And I totally agree. And yeah, stress goes up, cortisol goes up, we could store more water. Lots of things can happen like that. But one thing I always encourage my clients on as well is, like, let's work on the fitness too, but let's also work on some self-development stuff. How much time are you spending actually growing your mindset to do stuff differently, to learn different things, to start thinking in different ways? Is that self-development, because you need to be able to learn how to be able to handle these stressors, or these life events, but also at the same time know that we can't give up our fitness, because fitness is one of the things that's going to help out with this stress, with feeling depressed, with a lot of these negative emotions, these vices that people turn to. We can't just turn off to that and forget about the fitness. Let's still use the fitness as the gateway that's going to help us out with all these life events, and just keep showing up. Because if you could show up on the hard days, all the other days become easy.
The old saying, you can have excuses or you can have results. You'll never have both. So it can be really hard to give up or change ingrained habits. But we all know at the end of that, there's a very satisfying result. So there's a process that people will go through as they learn to give up some of those old habits or make some of those changes. And, this is another one of those areas that's kind of ripe with frustration and disappointment. How often are you seeing this?
Well, I believe it goes into educating them as well. Like, what is it is it these people that are the bad influences that are always having you come out to drink and, fast food, or let's go out to dinner? Is it the people? That's number one. Is it the environments you're putting yourself in? Maybe you need to limit your time with these people for 60 days, for 90 days, so you can start to learn new ways of doing things. Maybe you need to surround yourself with coaches, mentors, people in my program, so we're involved in this, because we do group calls, stuff like that. We're always plugged in. We're always thinking about fitness. And so sometimes it's just, plugging yourself into these environments, but then also realizing that, hey, habit change can take time, but if we just have to, I had this phrase, 1% better every single day. I don't need you to go make a drastic change. I don't want you to make a drastic change and go from 0 to 100. I want you to take small, simple steps every single day to get better. And let's start replacing these habits. If you're eating fast food, you're drinking soda 5 days a week, let's cut that down to 3 days a week. Okay, let's stop having donuts every single day. Let's cut that down, make these small incremental changes, and then let's start replacing these bad habits with other habits that support us. Like, hey, if you're drinking soda all the time, instead of drinking a soda, hey, have like a sparkling water. You're still going to get the same bubbly feeling. You could add some stevia or some sweetener to it. You can start to replace these things. And that's what I actually did back in the day to cut off drinking and stuff. I wanted to still be social and have a good time, but I just chose, I would have sparkling water. I would add some fruit to it. I found a new way of still being able to be social, still enjoy a good time, still have a drink in my hand, but it was something that supported my goals. So sometimes it's just about learning new ways, new habits of doing things so you can still accomplish the goals, but actually do something that's going to support the goals as well. So it goes into the education of, let me teach you, let me show you different ways of doing things. Lots of times they're in this habit of every night before bed, I'm having these sweets. Every day from work, I'm sitting on the couch and having this beer. Okay, well, it's sometimes it's not the actual food, it's just the habit that you built and a routine you built. So we just need to replace those with different things, different habits, different stimulus, different activities, and now we're gonna start getting different results.
Exactly.
Yes, that so hits home, and I'm giggling as you're talking, JJ, because when I was growing up, my mother was German. And so, in the evenings, we would always have hot tea and a cookie or a piece of chocolate. That was a thing. And we did this every night growing up. And now as an adult, I still have those cravings. I still want to have hot tea and something sweet in the evening. That's just what we have always done. And so I've had to figure out ways where, okay, the hot tea is fine, but what I decide to put with that is what I have to monitor more carefully. But you're exactly right. What you do in your childhood, which is why it's so hard, as if you have people around you, what your habits are that you create when you're younger, they do truly carry on. And it really is hard to change those habits. And I think that's the hardest, one of the hardest clients to see is somebody who is working really hard and, they stick with a plan for like 3 or 4 weeks and they're just starting to make progress. And then they slide back in and then, they slide down for a couple weeks and they get back on it and they have 3 or 4 weeks in solid and then they slide back again. And so, those are so difficult because it really puts a hold on a lot of that process. How do you guide people through that, JJ?
I tell them, hey, it's going to be okay. It's going to happen to all of us. You might have a vacation that you go on for a week and, but let's just get right back to it. I have another phrase, never miss a Monday. I don't care what happened over the weekend. We fell off track for a day or two. We're right back on it. It's a brand new week. It's a fresh new start. Let's start off Monday like it's day one again. Even if you had a good week last week, hey, day one again, it's a brand new week. We need to do the same thing again this week. So it's that mindset of like, oh, I didn't, and I never say people will say, oh, I failed on my diet. You didn't fail. You slipped up. You had one slip up. It's not the end of the day. You don't have to be 100% perfect. So it's just like, hey, coaching them on thinking about things new ways and knowing that, hey, that can happen and that's okay. Hey, let's get right back to it this week and make this week a great week. They'll go crush it this week and they're right back on track. They forgot about even what happened and stuff too. So it can happen, but hey, it's okay. But what are we going to do about it? We're not going to let ourselves go down a spiral and just give up fitness and just say, oh, I failed. Let's instead say, hey, I slipped up. It's okay. Like, hey, went over my calories, whatever it is. But hey, this week's a brand new week. Let's keep it doing because it's like I say, it's about what we do consistently. Doesn't matter 1 week, 2 weeks. What do we do over 3 months, 6 months? Oh, you fell off back 2 days ago, back in June. Like, who cares? We got to the goal. So it's just about that switch in the mindset, I believe, too.
Well, you both made references to kind of external stimulus, right? Whether that's the people that you're hanging around or the environment that you're putting yourself in. And, I'm a big fan of surround yourself with people who have similar goals, whether that's fitness or business or anything else, right? When you're with like-minded people, you're more likely to succeed. And now, like Kim, you practice this in your daily life, like, people who aren't physically active, outgoing, willing to experience wild new things like, rappelling or rock climbing or cliff diving, right? They're not going to last long in your world because that's the mentality though, right? Surround yourself with people who are like-minded.
And it's very true. And I think it's also really important to recognize that it doesn't have to be a one-size-fits-all solution to a friend. You can have friends that are contributing to your life in different ways. I have friends who will be die hard in the gym. They will go hard with me to work out and train, and they will go hard on the nutrition plan. And we have that in common. But maybe when it comes to, taking some time for reading books or, one of my pottery classes or something like that, that's not where their heart is. And that's okay. We have our camaraderie. We have our like-minded thought process. in a certain area. And then maybe there's some friends who, they're the ones that you're going to, share your rough days with, and they're going to help talk you through. And, they are there for that, or there for cooking and nutrition, to where they're talking you into making sure that you're staying on track. So everybody has something that they can contribute, but absolutely trying to find the people who you feel comfortable with, which is not always easy to do, especially as you raise the bar. You are, you're bringing along that expectation. But I think when you have really good friends who stay around you, you push each other. What they're doing to succeed is, you're going to see that and you're going to be like, that is amazing. And I'm going to do something amazing today. And that's what makes it successful in a relationship.
And if we don't have that in our hands right now, that's what social media is for. I've not only connected with lots of people, but there's tons of people that we can follow that will inspire us. I don't watch any news, I don't hang out with negative stuff like that. But if we're surrounding ourselves with constantly motivational stuff, people pushing hard, achieving goals, we're going to start to learn that mindset too. And that's kind of why I push out my content, because you never know who it's going to help. But yeah, that's why we should always be plugging in with people that are doing different things, that have higher goals. They show us, and what we learn from them is the habits, the disciplines, the mindset that they have. And we can start to adapt those in our lives as well. And that's how we can succeed too. So yeah, we definitely have to always surround ourselves with people that have the goals that we want, so we can learn their habits, their disciplines, anything that we can from them. So yeah, I'm huge on that.
Yeah, there's, I've really, I think that that's one of the positive things that social media, to your point, JJ, has to offer. In a lot of ways, we give social media a hard time because it does bring a lot of negative sides. But that is one of the things that we have access to with technology, is that now our reach is unlimited as far as finding people and identifying with what they're doing. And I know, for me, I have some really, really close friends who aren't going to go jump out of a plane with me and go skydiving. They're going to say, heck no on that. That's okay. And they're not going to go rappel down a rock with me. But I have one good friend that I'm thinking of right now, who's just an amazing mom, an amazing wife to her husband. And that inspires me every day, her commitment to her relationships. So really and truly, it's just finding people who can motivate you in the ways that you're looking for in your life.
And on that note, if you're looking for motivation, go take a look at JJ's testimonials, and remember that 95% of fitness results come from consistency and discipline. So if you're looking for an accountability partner and you want to improve yourself, JJ is willing to help. All you have to do is get in touch by sending him a DM on Instagram at JJ the Fitness Coach. So JJ, thanks, man. I really appreciate you being here. This has been good stuff. I think this is going to help even more people. I would love to see some folks kind of take advantage of what you're offering. Guys, get your heads straight, get that mindset proper, take control of your life and your fitness. Everything gets better.
It was amazing, JJ. Thank you so much for all your input.
Yeah, of course, guys. Like I always say, life gets better when you do 1% better every single day. That's how we do it.
That's it.
That's how we do it.